Hi everyone, welcome back. We're looking at the Agile Practice Guide from the Project Management Institute and Agile Alliance. And this particular one is delivering in an Agile environment. And there are two things in focus here. The first is the team and the project charter. And the second is the way we measure results can be very different than that of a traditional approach when we're using Agile. First, let's look at the charter. And so the charter, we're chartering the project and we're chartering the team as well. So usually in a traditional approach, using the project management body of knowledge, which goes through very set steps, that will initiate a project with a project charter. So that will go through what the project stands for, what the risks are, who the stakeholders are, all of those things will initiate that project and kick it off. Now, in addition, when we're using an Agile approach, our cross-functional team will initiate with a team charter. So what that means is, you've seen the cross-functional team before, where we've got the roles like the facilitator, we've got the product owner, and they represent the customer or the business. And then we've got our cross-functional team members, who are those T-shaped members who have a general knowledge of a lot of things, and then one really deep specialty knowledge. So these team members are extremely valuable because they might have one deep specialty of development, and then many general knowledge areas such as design or testing or even leadership or that servant leadership role, all of those different things. So our team charter includes the project vision or the purpose. And this is so important and it's so wonderful as well. Why? Because, well, we start with why. So our Start With Why, that classic book by Simon Sinek, it's just a wonderful way to get everyone on the same page and make sure everyone is heading in the right direction. Why is it that we are doing this in the first place? And once we've got that, we work on a clear set of working agreements, and that can involve many different things. So when we're working on the purpose and the why, we answer the questions: why are we doing this project? Who benefits from this project and how? What does done mean for this project? So what's the definition of done? When do we finish working? And then how are we going to work together? Now, the best role, and this can be anyone who has this leadership quality, is the servant leader may facilitate that chartering process, sitting down with the team, facilitating everyone getting together, working together, and extracting that information from the team so they can put it down into words where it may have been hidden before. The servant leader's role is also to help coach and also to help remove blockers. Now, the team charter is also a social contract. Now, that social contract can include things like team values, such as the sustainable pace and the core hours. Now, we've talked about the sustainable pace before. We don't want people to be working, the midnight shift and sort of then crashing and burning the next day and then really going crazy the next week and then, having 3 days off sick. It's not sustainable and it's just not a great way to work from an Agile perspective. We want that sustainable pace and we want to put that down in words. What is that sustainable pace? Do we have set breaks? Do we have, set hours? What are our core hours? Are they late? Are they early? Does everyone get in at the same time? All of those things. Let's write it down. We have working agreements such as what ready means so that the team can take in work. So when are you ready to take in more work? What done means, so when are you finished that work? And the team can judge that completeness consistently, respecting the time box, so their iterations of 2 to 4 weeks, and their work in progress limits if they're working in an Agile format where they've got cards and maybe they have limits for how many cards they can take on at a time. You don't want all of your cards sitting in the backlog of work, but likewise, you need to make sure that everyone understands when they can take on a new piece of work as well. And that goes in the team charter. We want ground rules, such as one person talking in a meeting at a time, very nice. Or maybe you want a lot of discussion, a lot of collaboration at a time, and maybe that's okay as well, and everyone agrees. And we want group norms, such as how the team treats meeting times. Is everyone on time? Or can someone miss it if they've got something really important on? What are those rules, and does everyone agree? Of course, you can put any other behavior that the team wants to work with or address. If anything, that maybe something has bugged someone in a previous working arrangement and they just want to bring it up and they want to say, hey, this didn't work well in the last time that I worked, or maybe this worked really well and they want to bring this up, and that can go in the team charter as well. Now, of course, as we're delivering in an Agile environment, Agile teams measure things often quite differently to that of a normal project in some ways. And the way they do that is that they actually measure results, and they measure results often in the way of the way that the project is delivered. So the pieces of the project that are delivered, the functional pieces. So Agile favors value-based measurements. In other words, value from the perspective of our customer. So what are the valuable pieces that our customer can get their hands on and use, and how many of those pieces have we delivered? So instead of normal predictive measurements like earned value management or schedule management, cost management, that we could use in a more traditional waterfall approach. So by measuring what is done and replanning at each iteration by iteration, there's less room for error and more room to correct course. And we'll see that in the way that we measure those results with a burn up chart or a burn down chart. And these burn up charts or burn down charts are basically the story points remaining. So as you can see, we might have stories. So we've got features, and then often the stories will make up those features, and features can make up larger increments that we're delivering to a customer. And the pieces of work that we're working on as a team, as a story, maybe we have 1,000 altogether in the product backlog, and then per iteration we might have 20 or 30 or 50. But each time one of those stories is finished, we're marking it off on the chart, and so we're basically counting down the number of stories that we have completed. And we want to aim for a certain amount of stories. So as you can see here, over 10 iterations, we're wanting to finish that amount of stories. But in reality, sometimes it is a little bit different. And so we can give ourselves a guide, but obviously when it's happening, it might fluctuate, it might go up and down, or not go at the exact pace that we want it to, because life happens and things get in the way. So by making it visual and by measuring by the story points and the features that we're releasing and the things that are getting done and the value that we're adding to the customer, that is the way that an Agile team will measure results. And that is delivering in an Agile environment.